Ladies and gentlemen, at this time it gives me great pleasure to present to you Mr. Michael McGuire, who is the father of current student Aaron McGuire, who will give the parent address today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael McGuire.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'd like to take a little different approach with my comments this morning. I don't have any notes in front of me. I just would like to speak to you from the heart. There's an advantage of going last. You get to hear all the nice things that people have already said. Things that you would kind of expect to hear from a college president, a student body president, a successful alumnus. But I don't have to say those things today. I am a parent. I never graduated from Mount Aloysius. I am a very proud parent. Parent who has watched his son grow so immensely in 2 years. My son is a sophomore here at Mount Aloysius. And so 2 years ago, 2 very short years ago, I sat pretty much where you were sitting. It was in a different building because this college campus is growing. But I sat there with the same gungies in my stomach that you're sitting there with today. You have to be nervous. You have to be a little bit sad. You have to be a little bit scared, excited. The emotions, I know what you're feeling. Just a simple announcement of make sure you see your financial advisor. Make sure you see somebody else so you register for the right classes. Man, that just eats you up inside. But I'll tell you from experience, you have nothing to worry about. It will all work out. You do your part, Mount Aloysius will do their part. I promise you that. And that's what brings me to my first thing that I want to tell you today from the heart, from experience. Mount Aloysius keeps their promises. You're going to go places today and visit buildings. You're going to talk with people. You're not going to remember their names. You're going to pick up literature. You're going to promise to look at it when you get home. Some of you will, some of you won't. But I'm telling you, as they talk to you and tell you that if you do this, we'll do this. This is available to you, take advantage of it. If you do those things, they will keep their end of the bargain, and you can take that to the bank. When we came to Mount Aloysius, and I say we because you think your student is making the decision as to whether he or she wants to come here, but it's a family decision. It has to be a family decision. They rely on you for the supports that they will need throughout their time here, and money, and also the shoulder whenever they have the bad day. It is a family decision. When we made that family decision, based upon the fact that my son was going to be a commuter student. And suddenly the Mount offered him a wonderful Mercy Presidential Scholarship, which gave him the opportunity to be that and one of those student ambassadors that Dr. Foley talked about today. My wife and I and my son Aaron sat down and we said, wow, what does this mean? Well, the biggest thing that it meant was my son was not going to be able to live at home and be a Mercy Presidential Scholar because one of the conditions is that he is on campus to help the campus whenever they need help. So he has to be a residential student. That might not sound like a big thing because many of you are going to be residential students. But you can walk to my home. I live right here in Cresson. You can walk to where we live. And so suddenly that's a whole new paradigm to think about. But you know what? Step by step, Mount Aloysius gave us the promises, gave us the assurances that in making that step, things would work out well. And now we would all agree, my wife Carol, my son Aaron, and myself, we all agree that it was one of the best things because he's experiencing life in the best of both worlds. Every choice is going to be very personal that you'll be making. Just like my story is personal, your story is going to be personal, and you'll be writing the chapters as you go along. The next thing that I would like to tell you is that it's not just words. Whenever you hear these students and Dr. Foley behind me say that the Mount really wants to see your son and your daughter succeed. That is so true. They aren't going to do the work for you, but they are going to guide you in ways that it's going to be pretty hard for you to mess up unless you don't apply yourself. You know, my wife said something this morning that really struck with me. She said, Mount Aloysius opens the door for every student to be such a dynamic person. They just have to walk through the door and reach for the things that the Mount offers. That's what happens as a student here whenever the Mount truly cares about you. And I'm not just talking about the professors and the student in the classrooms. Our experience is you need a problem solved that it involves dietary, housekeeping, security, safety, any of the administrative offices. They will answer your questions, they will handle your problems, they will solve those things as if that student was their own. And parents, talking to you, what better peace of mind can you have with your son and daughter calling you on the phone saying, they took care of it. I'm very happy that they took care of it. And they do that because out of the affection that they have for their job and for the students that are here. The next thing I want to tell you is been mentioned already, and that's the disadvantage of going last. So I'll just sum it up. I can't begin to tell you the opportunities that Mount Aloysius is going to open up for your sons and daughters. The opportunities aren't just in the classroom, but in all these service endeavors that the Mount takes on. All the service projects that your sons and daughters will be asked to participate in here on campus, in the greater Cresson community, and all through the state and even in the country. You know, Doctor didn't mention some of the things that take place in foreign countries even, where students are applying their skills and their training to help other people. But I can tell you it's true. Even our own son, we were so surprised and thrilled whenever he notified us that he had been accepted to be sent by Mount Aloysius to attend a leadership conference in Dublin, Ireland last August. Imagine, name of McGuire, getting to go to Dublin, Ireland. It was a dream come true, not only for him, but for his mother and for me to know that our son was able to go do that and experience that. Yes, there was 4 days of leadership training, expected, but he also got a chance for 4 or 5 days to experience Ireland life and all the fun that goes with it. Enough to want to go back. But it wasn't just a joy trip. It was another chance to reinforce those values, those mercy values of mercy, service, hospitality, and justice. And listen to me have them rattle off my tongue as if I go here as a student. That is the value of those four principles. They are so contagious. They will travel from the people that teach them here into the lives of your sons and daughters, and they will take them home to you, and it's like that spark that lights a fire. Everyone will be practicing them before you know it, because it becomes a part of you. This college is a rich history for my family, personally. I had 2 sisters graduate from here. My father, in the early 1970s, was the bookstore manager at Mount Aloysius when it didn't look like anything like this. I had an aunt who graduated from here in 1919, and for 100 years of her life, said it was the best years that she spent was here at Mount Aloysius as she practiced her nursing until she couldn't do it anymore. There's a rich tradition here. And you have heard about that today. But the other thing that you need to know is, in this day when you turn on the television sets, when you turn on your radio, how many times in the news broadcast, even in the just past 3 months, are you hearing about scandals and you're hearing about problems and things that just aren't what you would expect to hear from a college institution or a university? It's all over the news. It's not pleasant to listen to, and it's scary to think that your son or daughter may be going into an environment where you have to be worried about those things as well. I am a lifelong resident of Cresson. I have been a part of many, many religious organizations in town, many civic organizations in town, and I have firsthand witnessed the service hours that students from here put into the clubs and the organizations in the community. There's very few organizations in this community that could say that they have done their work without the help of Mount Aloysius students over the years. In all that time, I've never heard any kind of a scandal or any kind of a problem from Mount Aloysius that would degrade the diploma of any person who graduated here, or would make me embarrassed to say I live in a community or in a town that has this institution as one of its major factors that exist here. It just doesn't happen. Mount Aloysius practices those mercy values to the point where it has been able to stay stable and with ethics give the education that you are so desiring. And the last thing I want to point out is that for 35 years, I worked as a program director at the Ebensburg Center. It's an institution for mentally retarded men and women. In the course of that time, I had the opportunity to hire and interview many, many people. And I asked many, many questions in the course of those interviews. And over time, I have been able to determine when a person walks through the door, when a student or an applicant has come from an institution like this. They come in with confidence. They come in being able to articulate their answers. They come in with a bit of humility, not expecting the job, wanting to demonstrate to you that they are the best candidate. And it got to the point where so many times, even before I picked up the piece of paper to look at their credentials, that I was able to say, Mount Aloysius. Or, I'm honestly to you, some other institutions that are just as small, which practice some of the same values, including some of our area high schools. That's a major thing, because you're not only paying for an education, but you're paying for an education that has values, you're paying for an education that has that service connected with it. And that formula, education plus service, that's a winning combination. You know, I'm going to embarrass my son now and say something that I tell people whenever they ask me, how does your son like Mount Aloysius? And I answer, my son loves Mount Aloysius College. And Mount Aloysius College loves my son. And I think that that is not just true for Aaron, but it's true for every student that goes here. Who applies themselves? Parents, you have to listen to this and encourage your students to do this. If my son would have come to Mount Aloysius as he wanted to do, he told us this, I'm going to concentrate on my studies, I'm going to make sure that I don't mess up on any scholarships I get, but don't expect me to get involved with things, because I'm going to be too busy just doing those two things. Well, it took about 1 month, and suddenly he's telling us, I've joined this activity, I'm the president of the bowling club, I'm now in the honors program, I'm part of Vox Nova. This is amazing stuff, because all of a sudden, he didn't stay in his room, and that gave him the opportunity to have people know him, that allowed him to go to Dublin, Ireland, that allowed him to sit down one night with an ambassador and have supper with him and President Foley. It's giving him the opportunity to sing in places with the Vox Nova Choir. Places right here in campus, and also they're going to sing the national anthem at a Curve game coming up. These are experiences that grow people. And all these things is because he took the step to step out of the room. The people that are going to be commuter students, you have to come back. You can't just take the education and say, I'm done with it for the day. You're only going to get half the value for your dollar. So yes, Aaron loves the Mount. We love Aaron being here at the Mount. I could have just said today what all these people said. I could have titled this little talk, It's Not Just Words. Because every one of them said it. When they say they're going to do this and they keep their promises, it's not just words. When they say they're going to teach you values, it's not just words. When they say they want to make you succeed, it's not just words. And I ask, as you drive home today to wherever you're going, and you're thinking about the things you hear today and the speeches that you might have heard, that you remember my talk. And I promise you, what I've said today are not just words. They come from the heart. As a parent, you can't pick a better value for your son or daughter's education. If you've made that decision, congratulations. If you're on the fence, think about it today. Visit the booths and know what people were telling you are not just words. God bless you all, and thank you for your attention.